Hi there, this is Katie again from Red Spot Deals. As you know, Red Spot Deals only features products on Amazon with 4 or 5-star ratings. Here are a few of those reviews. And there you have it. As you can see from these reviews, people like you have bought this product and they absolutely love it. So why don't you give it a try? Click the link in the description now to get the very best price.
MSI GV62 8RD 215.6 Full HD Performance Gaming Laptop PCI 5 to 8300H GTX 1050 T4G 8GB RAM 16GB Intel Optane Memory plus 1TB HDD Win 1064-bit Black Steel Series Red Backlit Keys Display 15.6 Full HD EDP IPS level operating system Win 10 multi-language Processor, new Intel 8th Gen Core i5 to 8300H 2.34.0 GHz. Graphics, NVIDIA GeForce GTX 1050 T4G GDDR5. Memory, 8GB DDR4 2400 MHz 2 sockets. Max memory 32GB storage. New Intel Optane 16GB plus 1TB, 5400 RPM. Special features, 1-year limited warranty, include 1-year global, Intel Optane memory, 16GB, launches programs faster, powers quicker access to files, loads game levels in an instant.
ASUS VivoBook M580VD EB54 is not really should be called as a gaming machine since the design itself is pretty much different, but somehow premium. The look is taken from their ZenBook series and it does features great overall look. The device is not only usable for playing games, but also worked as multimedia and supporting your productivity. The Intel Core i5-7300HQ and GTX 1050 are offering fast and smooth performance on opening applications. I did Photoshop and have not found any lag or delay on the process editing. It runs high demands games or applications at the same time without any issue. The screen produces 100% of sRGB color, but sadly they still use the TN panel and not IPS. The color production is not top-notch and the only issue here is the viewing angles. The system has some issue on handling the heat. The touchpad and center can be pretty hot, but still usable even after 5 or 6 hours usage. The main problem for the temperature might because of the design. The body itself is measured at 0.8 by 15 by 10 inches and appeared to be similar like MacBook Pro or Dell XPS 15. Just make sure to give it break for a few minutes after doing heavy tasks. On the under the base, ASUS equip it with double speakers. The speakers fire loud and clear sounds and easily fill any small room. The equalizer is here to find if you want to play little with the manual setting. At last, as the way to connect it to the display, it offers us USB-C cable that fully compatible for connecting it to the 4K monitor. With its current price, I guess I do not have anything to complain about it. ASUS VivoBook M580VD EB54 main specs. CPU Intel Core i5-7300HQ 2.5 GHz.
Hi Inbox, John again. We're still in Taipei for Computex and today we're taking a look at the recently announced VivoBook S. While ASUS launched a bunch of nicer looking notebooks yesterday, the VivoBook S is the most interesting one by virtue of its price. With an expected $500 sticker price, or around 25,000 pesos, when it eventually launches in the Philippines, it's shaping up to be a bang for a buck notebook, especially when you consider what you're getting for the money. The VivoBook S has an aluminum chassis and what's possibly a plastic aluminum-looking lid that holds a 15.6-inch Full HD display. There's a bevy of connections available in this body, which includes 3 USB 3.0 ports, a USB Type-C port, as well as an HDMI port. With an overall thickness of 17.9mm, the VivoBook S barely slips under the 18mm thickness requirement for Intel for its Ultrabooks. The notebook sports a 15.6-inch display, as well as a choice between Intel Core i3, Core i5, or Core i7 processors, as well as up to 16 GB of RAM, 512 GB of SSD storage, plus 2 TB of HDD, as well as a GeForce 940MX discrete graphics card. ASUS quoted an MSRP of around $500 for the VivoBook S, though obviously you're not getting the Intel Core i7 variant for that kind of money. We're still waiting on ASUS to see how much this particular notebook will go once it makes its trip to Philippine stores. Hopefully, ASUS stays true to its 25,000 peso promise for pricing.
The ASUS ROG Strix GL12 gaming desktop, and a laptop with gaming chops but doesn't fall in the ROG category. Today we're giving you a peek at the latter. While the tough gaming line is slotted below the Taiwanese company's Republic of Gamers sub-brand, it certainly has the aesthetics to draw a crowd. The aluminum lid has aggressively symmetrical lines that give this notebook a ton of character, without using a touch of RGB, if we might add. The 15.6-inch laptop has the dimensions you'd expect from a notebook with a bit of gaming pedigree, but weighs slightly lighter at 2.3 kilograms, which shouldn't be too much of a burden to lug around the city. In terms of I/O, you'll find almost all of them on the left side of the FX504. Here you'll find the AC jack, Ethernet port, HDMI port, one USB 2.0 port, two USB 3.0 ports, and a combination headphone jack. While the right side simply houses a Kensington security lock and an SD card slot. Open up the lid and you'll be greeted by the 15.6-inch Full HD LED display. The panel features a 120Hz refresh rate that's sure to give you a bit of an edge with 3 milliseconds response time as well. Picture quality is pretty good for a panel in this price range, and viewing angles are very forgiving, but the rather thick bezels around it can be a bit of an eyesore. Below the screen are the keyboard and trackpad, but before we get into that, we have to say that the added design touches that resemble PCBs on the brushed aluminum palm rests are a nice touch. Anyway, the keyboard features 1.8mm of travel and feels good enough to bust out a few articles when we aren't going to be playing games. As expected, no RGB goodness for the FX504 given its quote-unquote budget orientation, but the keys are still backlit with red LEDs to help you get through your quests when the lights are low. Under the hood of the tough gaming FX504 is an 8th generation Intel Core i5 processor paired with 4GB of RAM, a 1TB hard drive, and an NVIDIA GTX 1050. We foresee a bit of trouble brewing in the RAM department, as well as a lack of an SSD with this configuration, so if your pockets can handle it, we recommend getting the configuration with the same processor, 8GB of RAM, a 128GB SSD, plus a 1TB hard drive, and a GTX 1060. The system is powered by a 4-cell 48Wh battery and comes with Windows 10 Home Edition.
In today's video, we're gonna see if the Acer Swift 3 2017 edition is right for you. Keep in mind that our review unit comes with 8GB of RAM, Intel's i5 8th generation processor, and a 256GB SSD card. Now that that's out of the way, here are the pros and cons of this laptop. Right out of the box, you'll notice the slim and slick all-metal body design that gives the Swift 3 a premium and durable feel. The glossy Gorilla Glass screen is a non-touch IPS panel that opens all the way up to 180 degrees and has a pretty good color reproduction, but you'll notice that it severely lacks in brightness and the reflections on it are a serious thing to consider. If you're more concerned about number of ports than screen reflection, Acer has you covered. On the left side, you'll find the power supply port, a full-size HDMI, USB Type-C, two USB 3.0, and your microphone headphone jack. The icing on the cake is the additional USB 2.0 port and a handy SD card slot that can be found on the right side of the laptop. Other things we liked about the Swift 3 is the rather good backlit keyboard, typing on it for extended periods of time will not be an issue, but the size of the arrow keys and the placement of the delete power button is something we would change for the next generation. Underneath the keyboard, we were disappointed to see that the mouse pad is made out of plastic rather than glass, but material aside, it does work well and you'll be able to scroll precisely. Another con of the Swift 3 is the rather bad webcam. On the upside, the laptop has a good pair of speakers, and even if they're placed underneath, the sound is acceptable, but perhaps lacking a little bass. We also quite like the addition of a fingerprint reader that works well and facilitates login without the hassle of a password. The hinge is also a pro for this laptop, feels like it was well built and the screen doesn't move much. The only minor complaint we have is the fact that you can't open it with one hand.
The Dell Inspiron 7567 Gaming brings back the red and black theme it had last time in a new and amplified manner. The laptop has an odd yet intriguing mixture of curved and sharp edges. It still has a plastic body with matte finish, but it is unlike anything we have seen in Dell Inspiron's range. There is a red and black logo on the lid with red exhaust grills. There are only two exhausts this time and both are at the back. Talking about ports, on the left side you have power port, a USB 3.0 port and a microSD slot. On the right side, you get an Ethernet jack, one HDMI port, two more USB 3.0 ports and a microphone headphone jack combo. The display can be quite disappointing. While Dell is indeed placing this as a budget alternative to the Alienware lineup, the 1080p TN panel used here doesn't do justice to the laptop's gaming capabilities. Being a TN panel, it looks half decent when watching it head-on, but viewing angles are really poor to use it any other way. Our test unit is powered by an Intel Core i7-7700HQ processor, clubbed with an NVIDIA GeForce GTX 1050 Ti GPU. This gives the laptop enough power to punch through every AAA title without any issue, even with high and ultra settings. While running Battlefield 1 at ultra settings with DX12 enabled, the laptop consistently managed to produce an average of 46 FPS, which is remarkable. More popular titles such as Dota 2 ran consistently above 72 FPS at extreme settings. Gaming aside, the laptop is the best at multitasking. 16 GB of RAM is ample for running all kinds of hit programs. As for the storage, our test machine packs a 256 GB M.2 SSD from SanDisk, offering decent read and write speeds. Along with that, you get a 100 TB storage from Toshiba. Even with powerful setup like this, the Dell 7567 maintains heat quite well, and the max temperature I recorded was 51 degrees Celsius on the middle of the keyboard. The laptop has great battery life as well and lasted us 10 hours of use in day-to-day work like browsing and office stuff. Even when I tried to drain the battery by streaming HD videos on Netflix, the laptop still lasted me for 7 hours. To make things truly portable, you can game on the go, and in our test, we were able to run 4 hours of Dota 2 before it gave us a battery warning. The Dell Inspiron 7567 Gaming is in essence an all-round gaming machine, or at least it tries to be. The performance is good and the battery life is the best I have seen on a gaming laptop. The display is a deal breaker for me personally, but if you can overlook that fact, this is a laptop worth buying.